All right, today we're going to be talking all about custom arrow builds that I do. But first things first.
Go Cats!
Anyways, uh, I am about to start a custom build for a gentleman out of California. I wanted to talk a little bit about the arrow builds I do. This is the time of year where I get really busy doing custom arrows for guys and for local guys and guys all over the country. And my custom arrow builds are very personalized to you. There is no one size fits all. I use all different types of brands of arrows, different brands of components. You know, sometimes I make an arrow that's a hodgepodge of 3 different brands of stuff. It just depends on what you're looking for. Now, before I build you a custom arrow, I'm going to get a lot of information from you about your draw length, draw weight. I want to know where you're hunting, like as in terrain and stuff like that, and what you're hunting, what type of animals. So this gentleman was shooting an arrow that was just about over 400 grains, and he really wanted to up his weight in the arrow because he does hunt elk. So he was looking for a little more kinetic, wanted to slow things down a little bit. We talked a lot about some different arrow shafts. He was really between 204 and 166s. And what kind of determined what we were going to do here was the broad eddy shooting. He is going to shoot mechanicals. He is going to shoot them at elk, so we want him to get as much penetration as possible. So we decided to go with the Gold Tip Pierce series, the 166s micro diameter. After I ran all the calculations, the weight came out to just about what he wanted and a good FOC. So, and moving on to the components, now we are going to use the Gold Tip components that come with this arrow, and I really like these a lot. These changed a little while ago. You may notice a lot of the Gold Tip uses those brass aluminum collars for both the nock and the front of the arrow. I think this is a better system. So in this system, they use both a outsert, insert if you want to call it whatever, and a collar. The collar goes on first and then the insert goes on. So that's a little different than a lot of arrows. A lot of times we do like a hit insert and then we'll put the collar on over top, but this one works a little differently. Now together, these together are going to come in right at about 54 grains. I weighed them and checked them, and they actually follow the exact weight that Gold Tip said they were. So that's the other thing too, though. Before I build your arrow, I'm going to check the weight of each component on my scale and rerun everything through my calculators to make sure we get to where you want. So that's going to be a really good system together. But with that, in those stock components, we weren't quite getting to the weight he wanted, and we're going to add these 20 grain back weights to the back of the insert. And that's what's really awesome about a lot of arrow companies is they make these weights to up your FOC and to get your weight up on your arrow. They screw really nicely into the back, and it's just a really good system. And now we've got this very, very long reinforcement in the front of your arrow, so it makes them super strong. And then moving on to vanes. So my go-to vane for the most part are tack vanes. And there's a couple different reasons I love tack vanes. I shoot them on all my personal arrows, but the two main things I try to get in vanes are stiff and light. So stiffer vanes definitely do a good job steering. They're quieter and they don't flutter. And you know, weight's important too, because if there's any place I don't like to add weight to an arrow, it's in the back. I talk to a lot of guys that are running arrows that are in the low 400 grains, and they're telling me that they're running like a 3-inch 4-fletch stiff vane. Totally not necessary, and that's a ton of drag. I would never do that type of fletching setup on an arrow that light. And overall, I expect to get these arrows about 456 to 460 grains when all said and done. So we're gonna do a 3-fletch, 2 3/4 tack driver vane, which is a slight with just a slight 3-degree right helical because his arrows clock right out of his bow. So that's going to be plenty to steer this arrow. I will never fletch an arrow more than 3 degrees unless you tell me to, because I just don't think it's necessary. I've shot arrows with mainly 2 and 3 degree helicals and they fly great. I think a lot of guys get way too obsessed with trying to put these really, really hard helicals on arrows, and it really affects downrange. You get a lot of drag, you get a lot of parachuting. With a stiff vane like this, that's all we're gonna need. So I expect this to steer this arrow really, really well. So that's about it on the custom arrow builds. It's a very personalized thing. Every single build I do is for that archer, and we talk about a lot of stuff before you have me build your arrows. after I gather all the information, I'm going to get the best thing possible for you so that you're really effective in the field. And I spine align all the arrows. I have a little method to find the stiff side of the arrow, and that's where I'm going to put your cock vein so we get the exact same up and down flex when we shoot these arrows, because that really helps us get consistency. And all these things I'm talking about, like, this is just to fight for tighter tolerances. There's plenty of guys out there that shoot every year with a 3-fletch blazer on from an arrow that was quickly made in a shop, and it works just fine. But if we can fight for tighter tolerances in your hunting and your shooting, we're going to do it. So reach out to me about custom arrows. I'm super busy with them right now. It's the dead of winter. We're getting a lot of guys ready for league and next year's hunting. So this is a really good time to talk about custom builds. So if you're looking for something different, run it by me and we'll see what we can do.